Hi everyone, and welcome back to Unique Talks 143. I'm Unique, and on today's episode, we're going to be diving into modern dating. This is something I'm a little bit nervous to be talking about just because I feel like this is something a lot of us are struggling with because it's rough out here. I feel like we're living in a time where we're the least married generation. Hookup culture is at an extreme high right now, and we've lost sight of what love actually is. And the question is why? Why are we living in a time that's so disconnected right now, where men and women are both frustrated with each other, and how can we fix this? So let's go ahead and dive into modern dating and what I feel needs to change. I know that everybody's situation is different and we all like to do different things. This is just my opinion on what I feel is the healthiest and what I believe we can do to make dating out here easier and stop wasting people's time, because I feel like that's something that's happening a lot in today's culture. We're so stuck on what feels good right now in the moment that we lose sight of what's beneficial for us and what's going to feel good long term. We have hookup culture, we have casual flings, we have situationships, and this has become the normal in this generation, and it's honestly so sad to see. We're craving instant gratification, but we're forgetting that real love actually takes time, it takes sacrifice, and it takes consistency. We're also living in a culture right now that is trying to replace gender roles and tell women that they can be men and men that they should act more in their, I don't even know what to call it. It's just I feel like we got to a point where it was toxic masculinity, and now we're living in a time where I feel like it's just we're dealing with toxic feminists right now, where we have women trying to tell men to be more in tune with their emotions, which, don't get me wrong, it's not, I feel like men do need to be in tune with their emotions, but to a certain extent. And I feel like in the culture we're living in today, women just want men to be so like them and think like them and react like them with their emotions. And that's just not how it works. Men are different than women, and women are different than men, even though this culture is trying to tell us something different. And on top of that, let's just be real. A lot of people don't value God anymore, and they'd rather chase validation than chase purpose. I think something that a lot of us forget that we have to remember is that relationships aren't easy. Nothing in life comes easy. You're going to deal with hard things, and sometimes your relationship is going to get hard and it's going to get difficult. But you grow by doing the hard things, not by avoiding them. Ask yourself, are you building a relationship that will actually last, or one that just feels good in the moment? I'm going to start with the men and what I feel men can do better leading in this generation of dating. And the first thing I can say is stop watching. You can easily go online and see the statistics of, one, how many men are struggling with addiction, which I honestly feel bad for and I do have sympathy for, but also how many relationships that this has killed because of men watching this, trying to get that instant gratification. And when you look into the statistics, you see that it emotionally drains you. And I'll say this, yes, it probably does feel good in the moment. I understand that. But when you look into the statistics and you look into the long term of watching this, you find that it's killing your ability to connect emotionally and spiritually. You're literally rewiring your brain and training it to basically look for fantasy instead of reality. And honestly, you don't have to take my word for this. I know a lot of men will probably have something to say about this. Do your own research, look into the statistics, and then be real with yourself and ask yourself, when you're watching this, how do you feel after? Like I said, you probably feel really good in the moment, but how are you feeling after that act is done? I want to be honest, it's even a little bit uncomfortable for me speaking on this, and I would rather have a guy actually be sitting here giving me his perspective of like with somebody who's actually dealt with this. But just from the things that I found over the long term, it's just it's not something good. And I'll also say this, I'm obviously speaking for myself. I can't speak for every woman. We're all different. But from the majority, the girlfriends that I do have, it's not attractive. It's not attractive when the guy that we're dating or the guy that we're with is going to watch to get that gratification, and especially when it's an addiction you're dealing with. And I just feel like that's something that before you get into a relationship, if that's something that you are struggling with, you should probably figure that out before you try to jump into the dating scene and try to get into a relationship. The next thing that I feel that men should do is go to the gym. Going to the gym builds so much discipline, and honestly, that's something that a lot of us do find really attractive is when a guy is actually in shape. It shows that you're taking care of yourself and it helps you build that discipline that you need. And like I said, it's just something that a lot of us do find attractive. But I would say that's definitely something that I think men should work on more, is just, even if you're not going to the gym, just focus on building that physical strength. Lastly, and I think this is the most important and most attractive thing that a man can do when he is dating, and that's having a plan and having a purpose. We want to feel safe with the man we're with physically, spiritually, and emotionally. I know that the time that we're living in right now, we're living in that toxic, I call it toxic feminism because it's just so extreme right now, and the culture that we're in is just, again, just women against men, men against women, just it gets me so frustrated. But just women saying, I don't need a man, I can do it all by myself. Like, cool, if that's what you want to do. I don't think that's the right route you should go. I think it's beautiful when you allow a man to lead and to be a provider and a protector. I mean, that's men's nature. That's what men were called to do. They were called to honor women, to be protectors, to be providers. And if you want a woman of value, then become a man of value. Because here's the truth that a lot of women probably won't tell men or be honest about, is that we're attracted to confidence. We're attracted to when a man leads and has direction and stability in his life. So men, before you get into a relationship, before you even think about getting into the dating scene, focus on building your character first. Don't chase comfort, but chase growth. Because the truth is, if you can't lead yourself, how do you expect to lead somebody in a relationship? Now, I saved the best for last. Us ladies, what we can do in the dating scene to shift culture and make modern dating better. And to all the women who may be watching this that I'm probably going to offend, put your pride to the side and try to see something from a different point of view. The culture that we're in right now, hookup culture, yeah, crazy. It sucks. And how we got here, I don't know, but I'm trying not to beat around the bush because I just know that somebody's gonna get offended with me saying this. And honestly, this is just what I've heard from a lot of men that I've talked to, and I believe that this is genuinely true. But you guys, and I'm talking specifically to the girls who are just going around sleeping around, and I just can't, it's not just the ladies. Again, hookup culture is both men and women. The difference is that, ladies, you're not making it hard for men to get what they want anymore. You're making it so easy. And again, we live in a culture where this is freedom. Being able to just take our clothes off is freedom. And that's where our freedom comes from. You know, a man can't tell me what to do. Like, this culture is just, again, I don't know how we got here, but you're not doing anybody a good service when you're just taking your clothes off and that man doesn't have to work for you. Men like to work for things. They like to do the hard things. So when you're just taking your clothes off and sleeping around and making yourself easy for a man to get, I'm sorry, but that man's not going to want to be with you long term. He's not going to see a future with being with you in the long term. And again, I can't speak for every relationship. I know that every man is different, but I'm almost 99% sure that majority of men, when they're looking for a long-term commitment, when they're looking for somebody that they can marry, they don't want somebody who has all these bodies. They don't want somebody who's sleeping around. They're looking and they want somebody who respects themselves. And I think that's just where women have lost sight in the dating scene, because we've been told this lie for so long that that's freedom. Taking your clothes off and sleeping around is freedom. Not looking for something serious is freedom. And it's such a lie, and you're honestly doing yourself a disservice if you believe this. Men like women that have respect for themselves. And I think honestly, if you talk to a lot of men, they would say that they don't like girls who are just out there throwing themselves at every man. So that's all I have to say on that. That's my take. There's honestly a lot more I could say about feminism and where we're at today, but I'm just gonna stop right there because, like I said, I know that I probably already offended so many people out there, and my intentions are pure when I'm saying this. Again, this is just coming from men that I've talked to having my own experiences in the past that didn't turn out well for me. And you don't have to take this advice, your call, whatever you want to do. This is just my opinion and what I believe from the things that I've heard. But the second thing, ladies, that we need to understand is that men and women love differently. I remember a couple years ago, my dad was talking to me, and I don't even know how the conversation got brought up, but the backstory doesn't really matter. But he had just said that men want respect and women want love. And I believe that when you respect a man, that's still a sign of love, obviously, but it's just in a different way. And that's just where women and men, we just love in different ways, and that's okay. Men want to be respected, they want to feel respected by the woman that they're with. I know, again, getting to the culture and where we're at today, the culture likes to tell us that it's weak to be submissive to a man, but it's not. There's so much beauty in being submissive and being able to submit to the man that you're with. And I believe that culture has, again, lied to women for so long, just telling us that this is such a bad and evil thing. And when you find the right man, it's not. And I say that because I understand that there's men out there who take a woman being submissive and they use that for their own power and good, and I don't stand for that, and that's not right. And any man who does that is not a good man in my eyes. But a true man who cares and loves for you, he wants you to be submissive. Don't see being submissive as weakness, but see it as partnership. If you're constantly disrespecting the man you're with, he's not going to want to lead you anymore. And let's be real, ladies, if he's not leading you, you're not going to have respect for him anymore. So I think that's just something that a lot of us have to work on. And this is even coming from somebody who has been cheated on in her past, who has had to spend time alone to understand that not every man is the same. There's a lot of good men out there, men that you could trust, men that you can respect. And my advice to you ladies out there is heal from your pain, heal from your past to prepare yourself to get ready to be in that next relationship you're in. Whatever it is, and just understand that being submissive is it's not weakness when you're submissive to the right man. And that takes me to my next point. Heal from your pain, heal from your past. Take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. You deserve somebody that you can lean on when it comes to difficult times. But it is not that man's responsibility that you're with to take care of your emotions. That comes down to you. You need to be emotionally mature, and you need to understand your emotions and understand when you are dealing with something, how you're feeling. It's not right for you to lash out on that man or expect him to solve the problem. So I think that's just where you need to be emotionally in tune with your emotions and what you feel. And this is something that both men and women need to understand. Your spouse is not there to complete you. They're there to complement you. Be whole and complete before you get into a relationship. And if you're not there yet, work on yourself. I think that's the problem with this generation is, again, we want that instant gratification. We want somebody to do this thing called life with, and it's a beautiful thing, it really is, but you have to be whole in yourself first. You have to be happy with who you are, be happy being by yourself before you get into a relationship. Don't look for somebody that completes you, but look for somebody who complements you. He who finds a good wife finds a good thing. We were not placed on this earth, ladies, to go and chase a man. Let that man find you. Your husband will find you when it's time. Don't focus so much on chasing attention from other men or this world, but focus on becoming the best version of yourself that you can. I want to get into the accountability aspect of this all because I feel like so many times there's a lack of accountability on both sides for men and women. And if you're struggling out here in the dating scene, stop and look in the mirror for a second and ask yourself, are you becoming the right person? Are you becoming the person that you want to find or that you hope to find in the future? Because sometimes it all just comes down to a lack of accountability. Did you ignore those red flags? Were you expecting somebody to come into your life and be perfect when you yourself are not even close to being perfect? Relationships take work, and you're literally dealing with somebody who is an imperfect human. And I think sometimes we set these high expectations and these unrealistic standards, and you just have to learn to extend grace because you're not perfect yourself, so you can't expect somebody else to be perfect and not get it wrong sometimes. That doesn't mean ignoring the red flags. That simply just means that have realistic standards, have realistic expectations. This is my opinion. You don't have to agree with it, but when I say this next thing, But you should not be dating. You shouldn't even be thinking about dating if you are just looking to see where something goes. If you are not looking to date, to marry, to be intentional with your dating, stay out of the dating scene. Just don't even go for it. And if you're going to, be honest and be real with the person that you're approaching. If you are just looking for a casual fling or a casual hookup, then say that. Don't tell somebody that you're looking for something serious and then just go and waste their time. We're in a generation where this is the most bold I've ever seen. Both sides of the party just want to take their clothes off and sleep around. So it's like, just be real. If that's all you're looking for, just tell somebody that. Don't tell them that you want to date them and just, and if you're going to be dating, be intentional. Let that person know that let them know exactly what you're looking for. I believe that you should date to marry and you should ask the hard questions early on. Does this person believe in the same thing as you? Being a religious aspect. I believe in Jesus, I'm Christian, so obviously when I'm dating, I'm looking for somebody who believes in Jesus as well. But you want to look for somebody who has the same values, the same beliefs, can relate to certain experiences that you've dealt with. How many times have you got into a relationship or you were talking to somebody and then you hit that 3-month mark when everything kind of seems to die down. You're no longer in that lovey-dovey stage and you realize this person is the complete opposite of who they said that they were. What are you okay with? What are you not okay with? This is something that I feel like people avoid so much, and it's like if you would just ask the hard questions early on, you could have saved yourself from that hurt that you're dealing with now. So ask, are they financially responsible? You're gonna want to look for somebody who's financially responsible in the future. Can you rely on them? Do you guys like or are you into the same thing? These are all things that you should be looking for and asking when you're dating. Don't wait till you're 3 months in and then you start asking these questions and realize that this person that you got with is total complete opposite from you and not what you were looking for. So I did a poll that I have right here and we're gonna go over it because I know my experiences in dating, but I was just curious to know other people's experiences. So we're gonna go over some of the questions that I ask and I'm gonna talk about things that I'm going to talk about things that I agree with and maybe don't agree with. The first one was do's and don'ts, and for don'ts we have not communicating well, which is something that I am actually big on because I feel like so many relationships end just to miscommunication. It's important to learn how to communicate with your partner, and the biggest advice that I can give for somebody who's in a relationship or dating is that you're not against your spouse. It's you and your spouse against the world. It's not you and your spouse against each other. And once you realize that, your relationship will be so much better because I feel like so many relationships could be saved simply by having better communication and just understanding that it's not you and your spouse against each other. Next one is cheating. I feel like I don't even have to go over that. Don't get in a relationship if you're a cheater or if you're not ready to settle down with just one person. I don't have to go over that. That's common sense. You should know not to cheat if you're in a relationship. Comparing your partner. This is also something that I agree with and I think could save a lot of relationships because so many times you look to the outside or you'll see what's going on in your friend's relationship or social media. It's such a time right now where you could just see whatever you want on social media and you just have all these relationships you see them blossoming and blooming on social media, but the truth is that's not reality. People show you what they want you to see, and half of the time when you're seeing these couples on social media, their relationship is not what it looks like on the inside. The outside it may look pretty and good, but on the inside these couples are going through it. So I'm really big on not comparing your partner to other people as well. I feel like once you start comparing them, you're wanting to change them basically. You're wanting to change them into that person that you're seeing and you're wanting them to be that. And that's just going to cause a whole bunch of problems in your relationship. So don't compare your partner to anybody else. Another one that I liked is going to sleep mad at each other. That was a don't. And I completely agree with this. Again, it goes back to that you and your spouse are together against the world. You're not against each other. I understand You're gonna have disagreements, you're gonna have arguments in your relationship, and the way that people approach situations is different. So that's just where you have to understand the person that you're with. You know, does your spouse like to fix things right away, or do they need that time to kind of calm down and settle down? Which I completely get, because I'm not somebody that can fix things right away. I need that time. But it's like you got all day with me. You got all day to kind of figure it out, where your headspace is, calm down. But once night comes, like you gotta fix that. You don't want to go to bed mad at your spouse. So that's something that I agree on, and I'm also big on fix it. Again, take your time throughout the day to deal with your emotions, but by nighttime, fix it and just be good with each other. So for dating dues, we have date nights, which I think is really important. I understand that life gets busy and you're not going to be able to do everything that you were doing in the beginning with your spouse, but just make time to like have that date night once. Oh, I have to sneeze. But be willing to have that date night at least once a week so that your relationship doesn't get boring and you can continue to build that connection with your spouse. I'm not going to go into detail with these ones for the do's, but there's give assurance, communicate honestly and kindly, which I agree with. But just based off of that, you can see that people are looking to have that effort and that consistency and that peace. So the next one I asked were people's dating it. That one was interesting. There was party girls and girls who have daddy issues, can't communicate, rudeness, being demanding or overly competitive, doesn't have a relationship with their family, inconsiderate and socially unaware, lying, disrespect, and lustfulness. Getting to being outside, I feel like that just goes back to outside partying and just searching and looking for that attention. Daddy issues, I don't really want to go into detail with that, but I definitely agree that daddy issues can play into effect when it comes to a relationship. For girls especially, just that trauma. I think that's something that I will speak on in the future, because there's a lot of things that I could say when it comes to people who grew up in a fatherless home. So I'll get back to that one in the future. But yes, I definitely agree. Daddy issues can be seen as a ick when it comes to certain people. Don't be rude in a relationship. I feel like that's common sense. Not having a relationship with a family, I actually disagree with this one, only because you never know somebody's situation or the circumstances that they're in. And you just can't really place that judgment of someone not having a relationship with their family if you don't know their family situation. So I'm gonna disagree with that one. Lying, disrespect, lustfulness, agree, definitely that's big for me. Don't lie, don't be disrespectful, and goes back to both men and women. Have self-discipline, don't be lustful, have that self-control when you're dating and when you're in your relationship. And that goes into boundaries again. For the poll, I asked what boundaries people set, and I got keeping hobbies and friendships outside of the relationship is important, which I believe, again, your partner is there to complement you, not complete you. When you get into a relationship or when you're dating, make sure that you still have your own hobbies and things that you enjoy doing, that you still have your own friendships outside of that relationship. There was mutual respect, be with somebody who's respectful. Having time for yourself, that goes back to having the hobbies and your own life. So I agree with a lot that was in there, to be honest. I think that when you're in a healthy relationship, it's important to have that room for space, because you don't want to be with your spouse all the time. You want to still be able to have your own life, and your identity doesn't come from your spouse. So make sure that you don't lose yourself when you get into a relationship. And then the last one was non-negotiables when it comes to dating. This one is gonna offend my ladies for sure. But one of them was no guy friends unless it's family or work, and I agree with this. I think a lot of women out there will say that that's controlling of a guy to say that, but I disagree as somebody who thinks that relationships are sacred. When you're allowing somebody of the opposite sex to come into your relationship, especially somebody that your spouse doesn't know, you're looking for trouble in that area. Personally, I believe that women and men cannot just be friends. Might be a lot of people that don't agree with that, but that's just my opinion, just from things I've experienced or seen. Most of the time, the guy is trying to get something out of that girl still, even if they're just friends. Most of the time, that guy wants to sleep with that girl. When you're in a relationship, you don't want to let outside things come into your relationship. And, I believe that you can have girl and guy friends, but together with your spouse, if that makes sense. Your spouse has to know who that person is, and like you guys can go out together, like you and your spouse, and then that friend. But I don't believe in just having girl and guy friendships without your spouse knowing and like doing things on your own. I don't know, that's just my opinion. It's like that's just a no for me, so I completely understand where this person's coming from. I don't see that as being controlling. I see that as having respect in the relationship that you're in. Unless that person's gay, that's the only time I would say maybe it's okay, but whatever works for you, that just doesn't work for me, and I agree where this person's coming from with that. Communication and commitment. Don't get into a relationship unless you're ready to commit, and just work on your communication. We also had confidence, not insecurity. That's a good one. I feel like both men and women look for somebody who's confident, so just be confident in yourself. That doesn't mean being cocky, but be confident in who you are, because a lot of people do find that attractive. And then the last one that we had was no cheating or micro cheating. I also feel like that's common sense. That should be a big no if you're in a relationship. I'm gonna be honest, when I saw this one, I didn't exactly understand it just because I didn't know what micro cheating was. And then when I looked into it, it's just one of those things where for me, I put it all in one category. So when you look into what micro cheating is, to me, that's just cheating still. But I guess we have new terms nowadays, so I mean, that's still a no for me. Cheating and micro cheating is a big no. So those are the results, and that's just my take on it and how I feel. But that is our episode for today. As I close this off for today's episode, men, if you're dating, lead with purpose, discipline, and vision. Ladies, lead with grace, faith, and have standards for yourself. With the culture that we're in, it is easy just to take off your clothes and to sleep with somebody. But true intimacy comes with doing the hard things, communicating, asking the hard questions early on, getting to know somebody on a deeper level, but getting to know and understand their mind and the character and who they are. Have boundaries for yourself, understand what you're okay with and what you're not okay with, instead of just chasing something that feels good in the moment. Chase to build and find a foundation. And most importantly, prioritize God, the character of somebody, and take accountability for yourself and your actions. Because the truth is, what this world won't tell you is that real love takes time. So stop trying to find the right person and become the right person. Thank you guys for watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like and subscribe, and please drop your comments because I am curious to know what your guys' thoughts were. I will see you guys next time. I'm just trying to make it through the night.